Marcus Chen stared at the diplomatic briefing pad for the 100th time, sweat beading on his forehead despite the perfectly regulated atmosphere of the Harmony Station. 3 months ago, humanity had made first contact with the Volani Confederation, a collection of species that had been watching Earth from afar for decades. Now, as the junior xenobiologist assigned to the Cultural Exchange Program, Marcus found himself paired with Zara Ka, a member of the feline-like Thursian species. The problem was simple. She seemed to despise him. Every morning for the past 2 weeks, Zara Ka would enter their shared laboratory with her ears flattened against her skull, her golden eyes narrowed to slits, and her striped tail held rigidly behind her. When Marcus attempted conversation, she would respond with curt, professional phrases delivered through her universal translator. When he offered to share human food or cultural items, she would decline with what could only be described as a hiss. Perhaps, Marcus muttered to himself as he prepared the day's research materials, humanity's reputation for being aggressive preceded us here too. The laboratory door hissed open, and Zara Ka entered right on schedule. Today, however, something was different. Her usual rigid posture seemed softer somehow. Her ears weren't completely flattened, and her tail, Marcus had learned to pay attention to her tail, swayed slightly behind her rather than remaining statue still. "Good morning, Zara Ka," Marcus ventured, using the careful pronunciation he'd practiced. "Good morning, Marcus Human," she replied, her translator rendering her words with the usual clinical precision. But there was something in her tone, a subtle warmth that hadn't been there before. They worked in companionable silence for several hours, analyzing plant samples from both their worlds for potential agricultural applications. Marcus had always found solace in scientific work, and apparently, so did his Thursian colleague. It was during their lunch break that everything changed. Marcus had been eating a simple sandwich when he noticed Zara Ka struggling with the human-designed data interface. Her clawed fingers, perfectly adapted for her species' technology, couldn't quite manage the human touchscreen sensitivity settings. Without thinking, Marcus moved closer. "Here, let me adjust the calibration for you." As he leaned over to modify the settings, he was acutely aware of Zara Ka's proximity. Her fur, which appeared golden from a distance, was actually composed of hundreds of tiny stripes in shades of amber and bronze. She smelled faintly of something like cinnamon and ozone. "There," Marcus said, stepping back. "Try it now." Zara Ka's clawed finger touched the screen, and the interface responded perfectly to her input. For the first time since they'd been paired, she looked directly at him, not through him or past him, but at him. "Thank you," she said, and Marcus could have sworn he heard genuine gratitude beneath the translator's mechanical tone. But then Marcus noticed something that made his heart sink. Zara Ka's tail had begun moving in sharp, aggressive jerks from side to side. Her ears flattened slightly. The brief moment of connection evaporated as Marcus interpreted these signs. The way any human would, she was angry, perhaps even more so than usual. "I'm sorry," Marcus said quickly, backing away. "I didn't mean to invade your space. I know humans have a reputation for being pushy." Zara Ka's head tilted, an expression that Marcus had learned indicated confusion. "Pushy? Aggressive? Invasive? I understand if my species makes you uncomfortable. We have a tendency to act first and ask permission later." Marcus felt his cheeks burn with embarrassment. "I should have asked before touching your equipment." For several long seconds, Zara Ka stared at him. Her tail continued its rhythmic movement, and Marcus braced himself for the verbal lashing he was sure would follow. Instead, something extraordinary happened. Zara Ka's ears perked up, and a sound emerged from her throat that the universal translator couldn't interpret, a low, rumbling purr. "Marcus Human," she said, and for the first time her voice carried what sounded almost like amusement. "I believe there has been a significant misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? Zaraka moved closer, her tail now moving in long, flowing arcs. "Among my people, when we are displeased or aggressive, our tails become very still. When we are content, happy, or—" She paused, searching for words. "Affectionate, our tails move freely." Marcus felt the bottom drop out of his stomach as the implications hit him. "You mean, when your tail was still, you were actually nervous, uncertain, perhaps even fearful," Zaraka admitted. "Your species has quite a reputation throughout the Confederation. Humans who charge into battle singing, humans who befriend predators, humans who refuse to yield even when facing impossible odds." Her golden eyes sparkled. "I was terrified that I would disappoint such a formidable being." "And now?" Marcus asked, watching her tail continue its graceful dance. "Now I see that humans are also capable of great kindness and patience. You have spent weeks trying to make me comfortable, never pushing when I seemed withdrawn. You shared your food, your culture, your knowledge freely." Her purr grew louder. "My tail has been trying to tell you for days that I am very happy to work with you." Marcus laughed, a sound of pure relief and joy. "All this time, I thought you hated me, and I thought you were merely tolerating a nervous alien who couldn't properly operate your technology." Zaraka's ears twitched in what Marcus was beginning to recognize as amusement. "Perhaps we both have much to learn about reading each other's signals." Over the following weeks, Marcus and Zaraka became the most successful human-alien research team on the station. But more than that, they became friends, and eventually something deeper. Marcus learned that Thursian purring was contagious in the best possible way, and Zaraka discovered that human laughter could brighten even the most challenging day. Their research partnership would eventually lead to breakthrough discoveries in interspecies agriculture, but their personal connection became something far more valuable: proof that understanding, patience, and the willingness to look beyond surface interpretations could bridge any gap between species. And Marcus never, again, misread the meaning of a happily swishing tail.